We are all on a heroic journey of awakening to our power with money. And to become a money hero, you need to go through the journey. You need to go through the trials and tribulations in order to step into your own money hero. No one's born a hero. But some people have a really painful journey with money. You know, lots of my clients live in constant stress and worry about paying the bills. Arguments with their spouse happen on a regular basis, or they don't talk about it at all. And it's this quiet, secret stressor around anything. Or working hard, always working hard and never getting ahead. Did you know that we each have to interact with money on an average of 32 times a day? That's crazy. And we're not even conscious of it. We're usually half asleep when we're thinking about money. I want to share with you the 12 stages of your money hero's journey. You could be at the very beginning of the journey or somewhere in the middle, but reaching the final stage of the money journey, you will not only have more knowledge and capacity to make more money, but you will also have something even more valuable, a positive relationship with money that brings you joy, peace, and a whole lot of confidence. These 12 stages of the hero's journey are in the Bible. They're in any of the great historical figures that we encounter. And most movies have at least some of these 12 stages. And money is deeply part of our mythology as a human in this world. And these 12 stages also run deeply through our money journey. So yes, you are on a money hero's journey. We all are. The first stage of this journey is when you are in the ordinary world. That means you don't know anything about money. You don't even know you're on a journey. You haven't really set yourself up in the money world. You know, you could be married where you never have to deal with money. It's taken care of. Or you're a kid and your parents buy you everything and take care of your clothes and your food. Or maybe even you're a trust fund baby where money's just on a credit card and you just use it and you don't understand. If you are in the first stage or the ordinary world, you're probably an innocent with money. In most stories, it's before anything interesting happens. Dorothy is in Kansas, Luke Skywalker in Star Wars, living in the colonies. Harry Potter is in the Muggle world, living under the stairs. I hope at least one of these movies resonates with you. There are so many movies I could use as an example, but these are three classics that follow the money hero's journey or the hero's journey to a T. So are you with me? Do you remember when you lived in the ordinary world completely unaware of the money in your life? This is when two of the money archetypes are most present, and we'll talk about the money archetypes later, but these two are the innocent and or the orphan, but we will explore those later. So the second stage in the journey is the call to action. This is when you have to leave home and strike out on your own. You need to get a job. You may have been pushed into it, like you might have a divorce or a bankruptcy, and you're pushed into this adventure. In the movies, it's when Harry Potter gets the letter delivered to him from Hogwarts, like he was getting that call. Or Dorothy in Kansas meets the traveling magician who shows her about a different world, a different possibility. Or Luke is told about having to go rescue Princess Leia. For us, with money, it's when we are asked to step into a new way of being from the old. You know, this may be an inciting incident. That's what they say in screenplays or books. You know, something happens that wakes you up from the ordinary world. And we're all probably have many, many, many calls to adventure throughout our lives. And that knocking on the door, call to adventure, does that sound familiar to you? Have you had a call to adventure? I know I have had many throughout my life. When I discovered this money work was my life purpose, that was a big call to adventure. However, with money, it's when I needed to leave home and I needed to find a job to support myself. I think that was the first one for me. Now, the third stage in the money hero's journey is the refusal of the call. Have you had the opportunity to step into a new way of being? It could be a job, a new place, and refused it because you were afraid. And this is when you put your head in the sand and you ignore all this Debt piling up. That's a big refusal of the call with money. It's when we don't know how to act, so we don't do anything. We refuse to step into the unknown. For me, the refusal of the call was all the times I would do a crazy get-rich-quick attempt and spend a lot of money on it. Or I would rack up a ton of debt and then just work really hard to get out of it. I wasn't really actually looking at what was going on. And this is when Harry Potter doesn't believe he's a real wizard. Have you refused the call with money? Refusal can show up as overspending. It could be creating more debt, trying to find someone to rescue you, getting in a relationship because they have money and they can take care of you. Some people would beg and plead for more money from their family or friends. It is a scary place to be. We can refuse the call for a very long time for some of us, or it could be just for a split second or not at all. Sometimes we skip this stage completely. We might be very, very adventurous. The thing about refusing the call is that the call keeps coming. It's sometimes harder and harder to refuse it, but there'll come a time when you need to take the call. And that might be because of the fourth stage. This could be the tipping point that moves you into taking that call. And the fourth stage is when you meet your mentor. This is when something happens that becomes a crucial turning point. You may read a book that gives you an insight on how to do things differently, or you hear a podcast, or you meet someone that inspires you to take action. It's a boost, and a belief grows in you that you actually can do something differently, like you feel like you have the capacity. It could be that you hire a money coach, or if you finally feel like someone is pointing you in the right direction, you can go that direction. In The Wizard of Oz, that was when Dorothy meets Glinda the Good Witch and has the boost of the Munchkins to raise her spirits. In The Matrix, it's when Neo meets Morpheus. In Harry Potter, it's when Harry meets Hagrid. For me, it was when I hired a money coach. I didn't know I was refusing the call with money until I hired her. I was embarrassed to acknowledge how much I actually didn't know. And when I hired her, I felt empowered and supported. I could really take action in my money. Have you had time in your life when you were inspired to take action? When was it? The money hero's journey is not linear, and we can have many mentors that come across our path, but there is usually one that happens when you no longer can refuse the call. It's so compelling that you have to take action and do something different. Now, the fifth stage of the money hero's journey is crossing the threshold. This is when you commit to the journey with money. Even if you're scared and you don't know, it can be super scary. You step into this unfamiliar territory of money. There's no turning back now. You've started your money journey. And crossing the threshold can be forced upon you, like you have kids and your partner leaves you and you have to figure it out. Or you leave home and there's no more pretending that you're a kid anymore. For Dorothy, that is when she follows the yellow brick road. Harry Potter discovers that his parents were killed by Voldemort, and that pushes him into the journey. It's also because it becomes his why in a lot of Harry Potter. Neo takes the red pill and discovers that he was living in the Matrix. You can't really undo that one. You have crossed the threshold, and you have to go on this journey. This is the fifth stage. For some people, it's the first time they ask for support and help. They take a personal finance course, or they hire someone like me to hold their hand as they face this really unfamiliar world. Have you crossed the threshold yet? Are you on the journey, or are you still refusing the call? Where are you right now? What stage are you in? The sixth stage is a powerful stage after you cross the threshold. And this is where you meet your friends, your allies, your enemies, and those naysayers. And you face some of your biggest tests as well. When you start this money journey, you will meet all kinds of allies that want to support you, and they'll even go on the journey with you. You'll also meet people that don't believe in you and will judge any decision you make around money. They have their opinions. These are the enemies of the journey. The tests can arise as well. Very often a client will hire me and we begin this adventure and something happens. more often than not, it's like a car breaks down or they need new tires or they get sick or something happens that puts a chink in their money flows. I know, and I believe this is one of the most fertile parts of the journey with money, and sticking with it is it'll pay off in the end. And some examples in movies is Harry Potter. It's when he befriends Hermione and Ron, and then he also has the enemies of Draco and his buddies. He struggles with teachers in school, and there's tons of tests throughout that whole movie. Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz meets the Tin Man and the Lion and the Scarecrow, and her enemies are the Wicked Witch and her monkeys. The tests are numerous along the way on the yellow brick road to Oz. Have you encountered a lot of tests with your money? Do you know who your allies are with money and who those are people that don't support you? Sometimes our money enemies can be lurking in our family unit or even the financial institutions we work with, or even our financial planners sometimes. It's a crazy thing about money. If you can bring out, I think money can bring out the best and the worst in people. It can bring out the best and the worst in each of us as well. The seventh stage is the approach to the inmost cave. I like to call it the dark night of the soul or being in the belly of the whale. This is when a setback happens and we have to retreat. We have to regain our strength and reassess who we are on the journey and why we're doing this in the first place. A setback with money can look like losing your job or bankruptcy or losing a lot of money, getting sick, divorce, betrayal. It can be depression or anxiety if you feel rattled with guilt and shame and doubt. It could last a day where you just eat a whole bin of ice cream, or it can last many years. What's different about this setback is that you have crossed the threshold, so it becomes a deepening of your strength as a money hero. This is when the money hero will develop a new plan, adopt a new strategy, and pivot their business or be born anew. It's one of the most powerful stages of the journey after you cross the threshold. Strength is developed in this belly of the whale, and you have the courage to make difficult decisions. With Neo in the Matrix, he was told by the Oracle that Morpheus or himself may die, and he needed to decide on who. So it was a big decision. In The Lion King, we didn't talk about that story. Simba is asked to take the throne from Scar. So he's asked to step up, and he has to figure out where his strength is. And Harry Potter and his friends decide to get the Philosopher's Stone before Snape. If you watch the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But it is built into all of our mythology. We can find it anywhere. When you look at the dark night of the soul, it's in so many stories. For you, it can be an inward expression of resolve, especially with money. But it happens during a time of retreat. During the dark night of the soul, you are regaining your inner strength. And for some, this is when we pray or we find our connection to something bigger than just us. This stage prepares you for the 8th stage of the Money Hero's journey, and that's the ordeal. This is one of the climaxes of your money hero journey. It sometimes can feel like life or death, and it can be an inner struggle. It can be emotional, spiritual, or physical. And this is when you draw on all the skill and courage you gathered in the inmost cave. You really stepped into your money warrior. You are reborn into the money hero, and it is the high point of the journey. It's the high point of all movies. For some, it is that feeling of strength. You have overcome your beliefs that you didn't believe you could do it, and you are now in control of your finances. You really are leading your life with money. You may have a setback, but you don't give up, and you move into the next opportunity. This could look like pulling in your resources and stop spending as much, and you're focusing them on a goal. Talking about money with your partner and maybe not having an argument, or if you have an argument, you're staying focused and you find a place of connection even in the tension. That is like mastery a lot of times in a relationship. Getting out of debt is a big one, and seeing your savings increase. maybe even launching a business and feel the momentum of success. That's huge. In the ordeal, you are aware and present. You're confident and you're informed. In Harry Potter, it was when they arrived at the Philosopher's Stone and overcome all the obstacles to get there. In Star Wars, Princess Leia is rescued from Darth Vader, but Darth Vader also kills Obi-Wan Kenobi. So there's a drama in that. It's a climax of the movie. And then that brings us to the 9th stage. And this is the reward. You have won. You are transformed into a new state. It's when the hero song plays. You are stronger, more confident, and capable. You have both the joy and peace of reaching or accomplishing the goal. You feel like no matter what, you are confident with how the money in your life is working. You have become debt-free, maybe, or you have savings for unexpected things. You understand your money, you are tracking it, and you're on top of it each month. And you can have conversations about money and not feel uncomfortable. Money is part of how you relate with people in the world, and how you spend it is you're very empowered with how you spend it. In The Wizard of Oz, it is after she kills the witch and she gets the broom that she can bring back to the wizard, because he was going to send her home because she wants to go home. Now, after the reward, we go to the 10th stage, which is the road back. And this is when you are returning to your life with a new knowledge and confidence with money. The fear and doubt you had when you first started this journey, like maybe just as you were crossing the threshold or before, it's replaced with confidence, peace, and joy. You now have a strong foundation that you can trust. You will not go back to that fog or that confusion that you had around money ever again. This is when Dorothy clicks her shoes and says, "There's no place like home." She had the power within her all along. She just didn't know it. This road back highlights that you are forever changed, knowing that you have peace, joy, and confidence with money no matter what. Like no one can take it away from you. And then this brings us to the 11th stage. It's called the resurrection. Some movies have this stage, some don't, but every money hero will have this stage. This is when what some people may call a setback. I believe this is the actual climax of the money hero's journey. Something very challenging can arise, and everything you have learned about money is activated. Your wise elder shows up in full force, and it's the final test. You stay centered, and no matter if you lose all of your money or if something very difficult happens, you will be okay. You have a deep trust that everything is aligned and nothing can take you out of your peace, joy, and confidence. A great example of this is when a millionaire or even a billionaire loses all of their wealth and knows that no matter what, they can create it again if they desire. That's when you're functioning from that wise elder inside. And we'll talk more about that wise elder. Dorothy does this when she goes home and is forever changed, even when everything looks black and white, because it doesn't bother her anymore. Now, that brings us to the very final stage of the money hero's journey, and that's the return with the elixir. And this is when you return to your life a changed person with fresh hope, solutions to problems, new perspectives, and there is a cause for celebration. This is when we rejoice. The enemies and doubters can no longer fit into your life. They just fall away. And ultimately, the money hero returns to their life and will never be the same. And it's at this point that they become a teacher or a wise one for the community, bringing back the elixir or the knowledge and sharing it with others. And a lot of times people don't share their brilliance with money. And I think that's where we don't get to see a lot of money heroes in our life, because it's such a secret game. And it's like the rules are unspoken. But the more people we have that have completely healed their relationship with money, the better stewards we will be to the planet, our community, and our families. So these 12 stages, this is the journey. But who are you on this journey? So let's meet the characters in this movie that is called Your Life, and what companions will be accompanying you, and how do you work with them? Each one of the 9 archetypes are developed and strengthened or weakened by our personal money history or mythology. They are influenced by our parents, our family, and our community, as well as like the economic advantages that we have. That also impacts us. So let's meet the 9 players in this play. You know who you are, but pay attention to the shadow money archetypes too, because they might be lurking in your family or even in yourself and you can't see them.